You're listening to the Fezcast, the Saracens fans podcast, bringing you the independent and unhinged views of the voices in our heads, as well as those of our special guests. To get in touch with us, find the Fezcast on social media and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and more. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Well, ho, ho, ho. I'd like to say Merry Christmas to you all on the Fezcast, but in reality it's a bit of Bah Humbug, and joining me are the other two ghosts of Christmas, ready to visit Scrooge McSarry to show them their other ways. It's Barry and John, though. Had the great Welsh wizard been playing at 10 on the weekend. How are we? I'm guessing Barry and John not so merry gentlemen after the debacle at Stone.
No, I was saying it's probably just as well we're recording a little bit later than usual, because I think we've probably just about calmed down a little bit now from the weekend.
The Father's Day Christmas special, couldn't it, Barry?
Yeah, absolutely. It was not good.
Not good at all. Well, look, we do have a packed show, so as not only do we need to do a post-mortem on a very disappointing pre-Christmas fixture at the Stonex, we also have an interview I did last week with rising star Charlie Bracken, which actually, when we review that, is pretty, because I recorded that before the Exeter Chiefs game, and it kind of like, there's some points there we make that we would need to discuss. But first up, let's have some seasonal cheer, because the Saracens women got a great result in their Enya fixture, i.e. sail away. So Mariah Carey's listening to this. I very much doubt she is, but I mean, if there's one thing I want for Christmas, it's not you, Barry or John. It's Olivia Apps to sign a long-term contract with a club. I mean, Liv is just different custom at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, a world-class player. It's obviously a shame that an injury has led her to being here, but if we can somehow find a way to keep hold of her and keep her in the side, then yeah, I mean, she makes such a difference. And if you've not seen the tackle on social media, go and find that tackle. It's a line break from Sale. They get through, and then all of a sudden, Liv Apps just comes in and absolutely marmalises the ball carrier.
Oh, she is. Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I said different custard, but let's keep the Christmas ones going. I mean, she's brandy butter, isn't she, John?
No, she is. I mean, she has made such a difference. And as Barry said, what do we need to do to keep hold of her? I mean, it's almost rinse repeat every week. We want people to keep up with their standards, but her standards are just outstanding. We can't ask for any more. So what do we need to do? Who do we need to sell to keep her?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting point you make there, John, because the other side of it is, of course, that you mentioned that someone of that class comes in and is elevating her performances, but she seems to be dragging the team with her as well, and after that initial game against Gloucester Hartbury down in Tractor Country, the whole team has seemed to step up. And then we got 2 tries at Bryony Field on the weekend. Sophie Bridger, last week I suggested that she might have been, a little bit rusty after injury. This week she seems to have been absolutely at the races and scored a great try. And Jess Breach sitting up Liv Apps as well. And I mean, she obviously reacting to Duncan's recent comments and proving that the World Cup hangover, if it ever existed, is well and truly over, isn't it, Barry?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're all playing so well at the moment, and Liv will be helping with that. She's obviously setting the standard, and when you're playing in a side with someone who is that good, it makes you subconsciously raise your game, and they've all done that all the way through. And it's a shame that Gloucester game was right at the beginning of the season. If Liv Apps is still around in February, I think, is it 15th of February? I think the return game.
Yeah,
that will be an interesting one at the Stonex, that's for sure. But let's hope the girls can maintain their form into the new year and make that a big match on the on the 15th of Feb.
But of course, the important thing, John, is that they're top of the league for Christmas, which puts the pressure on for Gloucester. Gloucester come back after the Christmas break a week earlier than us, because the first week of the next block is our bye week. They've got Lightning at home, I think, the game, but the pressure's on them now, isn't it? That, perhaps after that first game of the season, you thought maybe Gloucester Hartpury would be away, and then everybody else would be playing for second, third, and fourth. Well, we're in first, pressure's on, and you don't know how that pressure will react. It's the first game back for Gloucester Hartpury.
Yeah, no, I mean it would be good if it was that first game back, but they're sitting there now, aren't they? They're looking at us and they're thinking, okay, yeah, we remember the beginning of the season, but now we see where Saracens are and where they're going, and they won't be looking forward to that fixture. Then they'll think that we've got an extra week's rest, so do we charge on where we are, kind of re-energized after the Christmas break, and then suddenly they've got us, as Barry said, on the 15th of Feb.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as you say, it's going to be huge. And if Olivia is still around, and if she has listened to my Christmas wish and that I've been a good boy for Santa Claus and everything, then hopefully she'll have signed a long-term contract by then. And her against Mo Hunt, a repeat of the World Cup final, that'll be an interesting game, won't it? Now, in other news, before we move on from the women, and I'm aware that we have probably glossed over the women's game a little bit, but I think not lots discussed with the men, and I think it's going to be a huge one, that is. But SSA sponsored player Akina Gondwa has had a major reconstruction on her ACL. So, I mean, all I want for Christmas is a new right knee, is it, I think, or left? I can't remember which one it was now. But we'd like to wish Akina a lot, obviously, all the best at Christmas balls, all the best for her recovery. And, that's a big loss, isn't it, Barry? She's been a standout player who's really stepped up in that support role this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to echo what you've said, everyone at the Fezcast and everyone at the SSA wishes her a full and speedy recovery, and we look forward to seeing her back on the pitch as soon as possible. Indeed.
Well, let's move on and say, after a word from Akina, who kindly does our SSA sponsored jingle, and we'll play in my interview with Charlie Bracken, and we'll come back and react to that.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Hello, this is Akina Gondwe of Saracens Women, and you're listening to the Fezcast, and we are both proudly sponsored by the Saracens Supporters Association. For a £10 annual subscription to the SSA, you'll get the chance to buy tickets for away matches, receive a regular newsletter, and an exclusive SSA badge. They also arrange pre-match gatherings and player-coach events. As well as sponsoring both me and the Fezcast, they also sponsor Louis Johnson from the men's team and the Saracens Foundation Track Club. Not bad for 10 quid. You can join up at membermojo.co.uk/SSA. Enjoy the rest of this edition of the Fezcast, and I look forward to seeing you at StoneX. Come on, you Sarries.
This is the Fezcast.
I'd like to welcome somebody who has been coming through the ranks over the last couple of years and has really introduced themselves to the Saracens first team in the last couple of seasons, and they're putting some impressive performances. Welcome to the Fezcast, up-and-coming rising star, potential superstar of the future, Charlie Bracken. How are you doing, Charlie?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Jez.
No problem at all. You're looking a bit wet there, mate.
Yeah, we've just had training and it's been tipping it down outside, so just finished with that. But yeah, it's nice getting into the winter rugby.
Oh, well, indeed, yeah. Well, that's proper rugby, isn't it? I mean, you don't get the mud baths at StoneX, do you, like we played on many years ago, but I'm sure it's still pretty miserable. Charlie, first off, said in the introduction there, your career's coming on leaps and bounds. You've come through the whole system and you're now an integral part of the first team squad. I mean, how happy are you with the way that your career is progressing at the moment?
Yeah, really happy. I mean, obviously joined Sarries a long time ago when I was in the under-14s in the DPP, and then progressed through into the academy, and at the end of that was lucky enough to get a contract, and then started off my first year at Loughborough, which was a great experience, and then the following 2 years with AMTA, which has been really valuable for me, and then getting into the team here and there over that year, and then progressing more into the team this year. So it's been really good, and I've loved every time I played for Saris. I think it's been great. We've got a great young group of boys that are coming through as well. So it's been great. I'm delighted, and yeah, really excited every time I play for Saris.
The one thing we notice is that you're getting more and more minutes in that first team. Started the game last weekend in Durban and played the whole game. I mean, perhaps more to do with injuries as opposed to anything else, obviously, with Gareth coming in on the wing. Is it really good that you're getting more and more minutes now? Or you feel that you're ready for it? And is it frustrating when you don't get the minutes and you're perhaps on the bench and coming on with 10 minutes to go or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. I think game time is hugely important for a lot of young players, especially being a halfback. The more game time you get, the more experience you get, the more you kind of learn how to play in those sort of games, especially the bigger games. So getting valuable minutes in big games has been good for me, whether that's, playing a full game like I did last week, or coming off the bench and getting good minutes. And in terms of, coming on with not many minutes to go, I think it's still, it's an important role to be able to do, because matches can be won and lost in those final 5-10 minutes. So I'm happy to play my part, whatever that may be. But I think, I'm obviously pushing for getting more minutes and getting starts here and there, because I think that's valuable for my career in itself. But I'm happy to do my role and do that to the best of my ability every time I play. But getting those starts and good minutes does make me happy.
What do you see as the best part of your game? What's got you to where you are now? And then reverse that question. What have you had to work on the most to improve your game to get yourself into this position?
Probably my X factor, which as I was young, was my speed to the breakdown and my speed of ball in terms of my passing, which I've kind of drilled since I was really young. So I think that's probably what's got me to where I am. And then in terms of work-ons, I think kicking I've had to work on it really hard. And I think that's definitely come on in the past couple of years, but it's still a big work on for me. Kicking is such a big part of the game now, when you've got people on the wings like Noah who are so good at getting up in the air and getting the ball back. But I mean, I think overall I'm trying to work on all parts of my game, kind of become a good all-round player, and work on looking for gaps and kind of getting confidence within those games. And I think that comes with experience as well. Playing more minutes gives you more opportunities to work on those things that you work on in training. And I think that's been great for me. Having game time recently has been allowing me to try and improve my game where I can.
You mentioned your speed of pass, your speed to the ruck, and we can't really avoid the question, can we? Your surname is kind of like a famous surname around Saracens. Your dad was a club legend, and we've said the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. You've got a lot of those skills that your dad gave you. Is it difficult playing for a club where your dad was such an important player years ago?
No, I don't think so. I think he's been such a role model for me. Like growing up, I always looked up to him and always wanted to play for Saris since I was a kid. So I think if anything, it makes it better, because hopefully following my dad's footsteps in that regard and wanting to achieve what he kind of achieved. And he's always loved Saris and he's kind of passed that love on to us, me, Jack, and my youngest Lachlan. So I don't feel any pressure or expectation. And I think he's been good at, helping me mentally through my journey as a professional rugby player and being at Saris. And I see it more of an honour and a privilege rather than, a weight on my shoulders.
So when you sit down at Sunday lunch table with your mum and dad and everything like that, does your dad ever pass on advice about playing number 9, or does he just let the coaches get on with it and more deal with the fatherly side of it? Because I know when I used to coach kids, the last thing I wanted was old players turning up and undermining me, sort of thing.
No, he's very good with me, to be fair. I think he obviously, when I was younger, helped me a lot with the technical side of the game, passing and kicking. He's always been very helpful with that. But as the years have gone on and, he's passed a lot of that down to me, now it's more about, the mental side of things. Like after a game, reflecting after a game, I'm usually very kind of critical of my own game. So he helps to bring a bit of a balance to me with sharing the positives with me as well. And he's good to keep my head level. And obviously he's experienced all the ups and downs of having a professional career. So it's good. He's passing that on to me in a way. And he does love rugby still. He's a bit of a nose. He does like all the rugby chat, but no, it's great. I mean, Yeah, there's a lot of chat about rugby around the dinner table, but no, it's good. Like, but we're also able to switch off and, not talk about rugby. There's other things that we do talk about.
The other question I was going to ask, I asked this of Charlie Hodgson when we had him on in relation to his son coming through, and I said, how's his wife? I mean, your mum's gone through it all with Kieran in the past, the highs, the lows, the injuries, the good times, the bad times, and now she's got to go through it again, double over, potentially 3 times over.
Yeah, she's amazing. Like, I think she's obviously been through it all with my dad, and I think she obviously, passes on a lot of advice to me as well about how to deal with certain things, and she's experienced it all before. She's a personal trainer as well, and she's a great cook, so she's helps me with kind of that side of my game. Like, we eat very healthily at home, and we always have advice in the gym if we need it. So no, she's been great emotionally as well as for our own physical development. And yeah, but like both my parents are very supportive and come to every game. So it's nice to have a good backing and a good family around me. Also, my auntie works here, my cousins work here and always come and watch. So, and my grandparents as well. So it really feels like a family club, and they're extremely supportive, which I'm very grateful of.
The other thing is you have the added factor of playing with and alongside Jack. Is there a bit of sibling rivalry there? Is there a race to who gets the first 50 caps or the first 100 caps? And
no,
bragging rights there, or who scores the most tries or whatever?
Well, I think he'll score quite a few more tries than me. He has a tendency to do that. But no, I mean, I think back in the day when we were both scrum halves, it was probably a bit more competitive when we were growing up. But I think now we just really want the best for each other. Obviously being different positions, like I don't really compare myself to him. And although it's good to have some healthy competition. I think we're skilled in different areas. We're talented in different areas. Like if you said, who's going to win a 100-meter race, I'd back him every day of the week. But if you move that to 800 meters, I'd back myself every day of the week. So, I think we're just quite happy for each other and supportive of each other. And the competition isn't really between us. We just want the best for each other.
Oh, that's brilliant. Going to move on to the actual games on the field, and we're recording this Thursday before Exeter Chiefs and Stonex. We're going to be going out on Christmas Eve, so you're our Christmas presents and Fezcast listeners, as it were. So,
oh no, there you go.
Talking about the rain outside, imagine going all the way to Durban. You play in English conditions. I mean, is it difficult to play in such weather, and did it affect the tactics on the field when it was that miserable?
Yeah, I think we knew it was going to be like that. We'd had a look at the forecast before, and it said it was going to be very stormy. So I think going in, we did have a game plan to, we still wanted to play and test our attack, but at the same time, you want to play a territory game and also not have the ball for too long. So that took quite a bit of game management from our end. But look, the game was so tight in the end, and little things here and there could have meant we could have won the game. But I think it was the energy on the field was really good. And we did have a game plan, and we did have to also adapt to what they were doing. They were kicking a lot as well. So it was a very attritional game, but it felt great playing out there. And yeah, felt unlucky not to get the win in the end.
Well, I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we mentioned it on our review of the game on this week's Fezcast and said, if we'd been offered a losing bonus point before we went, given the players that you were going to be facing, the likes of Saya Khaleesi and MVP and all of those players who got rounds and rounds of experience, the losing bonus point would have been a good return. But, there's an element of, was it a little bit of a missed opportunity, a few wish buts and maybes on the other way? We could have come back with 5 points.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously their team was extremely strong with all their South Africans. We knew that going into it, but I think we had Brad Barrett come and speak to us beforehand, and he really inspired us going into the game about kind of the spirit and what's needed from your teammate to, put up a good fight. And I think we really did put up a good fight, but it was bittersweet because I felt like we could have possibly won it. But, you can look back at those games and think, we could have won it. But I think the main thing we can take away from it was, the energy and what it felt like on the field and how that's going to help us over the coming weeks and for the rest of the season, really.
Well, I think that's the thing, isn't it? In all games, if you come out with learning points that you focus on, then that's all good, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
When we've gone out, we'll have beaten Chiefs, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have beaten Chiefs. Don't like Chiefs. Yeah, they'll beat Chiefs at Stonex on Saturday, and then You got Gloucester following weekend. Squad all sorted, all ready to go?
Yeah, all ready to go. Yeah, excited for the weekend. Got a strong team. Yeah, it's a big game for us. Obviously, the long-standing rivalry against Exeter. So really looking forward to this weekend and the following weekend. My girlfriend lives near Gloucester, so that's going to be a rivalry in itself. I want to get one over on them there. So yeah, lots of big games coming up, which I'm excited to hopefully be a part of.
So what's Christmas like for a pro rugby player? I mean, Christmas Day is bang in the middle of two massive games. So I'm assuming the dietitians have said you can't have too many helpings of figgy pudding and turkey and all the lads and, and steer clear of the beers for a little while. I mean, what's your week going to be like after the Exeter game?
Luckily, we have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, and then we've got training in the afternoon on Boxing Day. So I think obviously that gives us time to obviously celebrate Christmas and then also get back into the swing of things as well. So this Christmas time is we've got big games coming up, so we need to be at our best. And I think all the boys will be, sensible over the Christmas period and wanting to fly into these next couple of games. But it would be good to have a bit of Christmas time as well.
Boxing Day for me used to be playing a club match. We used to play club versus the veterans. And looking up when you were born, I actually made my debut as a veteran a couple of weeks after you were born in December 2003. So yeah, wow. I do now feel very old, but I mean, it's got to be terrible that, your dad's crowning moment as an international came just before you were born as well.
I think that probably overshadowed my birth, maybe.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Charlie, thank you ever so much for your time. I'm aware that we're all busy. It's a busy time of year, but we'd like to wish you all the best for the Christmas period. I ask you to take back the Fezcast's best wishes to the lads in the squad and wish them a Merry Christmas from us. I say thank you for your time. And have you got a message for the fan base before you go?
Just a massive thank you for all you guys who turn up on a Saturday or Sunday. It's a pleasure. And yeah, hopefully see you again soon. And thank you to you, Jez, for having me on. It's been great to be on, and I'll pass my best wishes on to everyone.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Charlie, and thank you for your time. I'll hand back to us in the studio.
Hey, it's Charlie Hodgson, and you are listening to the Fezcasts.
This is the Fezcast.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Fezcast, and thank you ever so much to Charlie Bracken, and obviously, as well, always have to say to Ollie Shapley at Saracens facilitating that. As I say, I spoke to him in the build-up to the Chiefs game when we could see in the background that the wind up at Stonex can be pretty atrocious at the best of times, but they come off of a training run at Stonex where I reckon most of the balls were probably still landing somewhere near Chelsea Bridge at the moment, Barry.
Yeah, it was very good of him to give up his time and also when he was in such a damp condition, let me put it that way.
Yeah, so, what did you pick out from the interview, guys? What did you really enjoy?
Well, I think it's interesting. All these players coming through, professional sportsmen are given all this media training, but Charlie being a bit younger, you could see he was kind of enjoying it as well. Obviously we're not going to try and get them with gotcha questions and what have you, but it came across that he really enjoyed chatting to us, and perhaps we can get him, or perhaps we can try and work our way through the family. But yeah, it was great to have him. Interesting to hear about the Christmas arrangements as well. Obviously, this episode will go out on Wednesday, which is Christmas Eve. So the guys have got Christmas Eve and Christmas Day off, although I think there's some sort of, was it Christmas Day and Boxing Day? No, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then they're back in on Boxing Day afternoon, then straight down to Gloucester. But yeah, it's obvious that he's had his work-ons, his speed and his passing are legendary. Interesting that he's had to work on his kicking. I thought that was quite a surprise, because I've always thought his kicking was very good.
Well, I suppose that's the sign of a really good player, isn't it, John? The fact that they can turn what they perceive to be in a weakness by sheer diligence and hard work into a strength. But more importantly than that is doing it and not losing the other aspects of your game that were already good and indeed improving on. And I think Charlie's all-round game has been superb, hasn't it?
No, it has. And it just comes across as so well. Firstly, the game comes across as so natural. And just adding to what Barry said about his tone on the interview. Talking to Jez, the poor soul. I mean, he must have been really nervous, the famous Jez Denton. But no, seriously, he just came across to me as somebody who was really comfortable in himself, comfortable in his game. And yeah, he sees that as a weakness. Wow, if he feels that he can improve that another 50-60%, then what sort of player have we got there? I mean, he's just, we don't want to lose that youthful enthusiasm. We don't want that skill or those skills to be coached out of him. And I don't think it will be, but that's happened to a number of people over the years, isn't it?
Well, of course, yeah. And I mean, the other thing that I mentioned was, and I was trying to get to, and I think we did, is that where he feels he is now in relation to starting games, getting more game time. And I think he deserves more game time. And that brings us to what can only be described as the disaster, which was the Chiefs game. And the previous week, we had one of the 3-word reviews, didn't we, Barry, that had said that lost must win. You know, it was a must-win game. Basically, it was a disaster. And I don't like digging out specific players. But there's an elephant in the room, isn't there? We have to address the situation. And I feel so bad for doing this because he's a lovely lad. He always gives 100%. But the situation at 9... we've got to discuss it because Ivan Manzil's coming in for a lot of criticism online. I'm sure in the 3-word reviews, Barry, his name was mentioned more than once. And in general as well, it seems to be that's the real weak point at the moment. And when you've got someone like Charlie Bracken, who is young and exciting and is doing really, really good stuff and deserves more time, to see him stood on the sideline up until whatever point he did come on, it was concerning, wasn't it, Barry?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just even. It's that whole 9, 10, 12, 13. We've been unfortunate. We've had injuries. We had Lucio Cinti pulling out in the warm up on Saturday, which meant another reshuffle. We've had challenges with injuries. That whole midfield looks like a weakness at the moment, and the only justification I can think of for not giving Charlie a bit more game time is that possibly when we're so weak in midfield, to bring a youngster in, if we continue to struggle in that part of the pitch, it's not going to do his confidence any good, and it's going to knock him back a little bit further. Whereas Evan's probably a little bit more mentally strong and able to cope with that, with those problems that we've got there. But yeah, I mean, we'll get onto the 3-word reviews in a minute, but yeah, they're not good.
Well, I mean, yeah, you say that about Ivan Manzil, but I just don't think at the moment his confidence isn't there and his decision making is not there, and it's compounded by the fact that everything's slow. But John, to blame just one player is unfair because, as Barry said, there are plenty of issues, and I'm going to move one place out to number 10. And I'm afraid to say Owen Farrell had a stinker. Yeah. He seemed more interested in settling scores from years ago with Harvey Skinner than actually playing. And Jamie George compounded it as well with the celebration in front of Harvey Skinner and everything. I just think there's some senior players making some really big, unlike Sarri's actions, and even being, I think, arrogant almost. And it's not what I expect from a Sarri's team. And there you go. It was Jez's Christmas rant.
No. I completely agree with you, Jez. I mean, I unfortunately I wasn't there on Saturday, but I was following closely on the text. And when it kind of halfway into the second half, I thought, 24-13, yeah, we should be right here. And then crash bang wallop, and we lose. And then when I see the highlights afterwards, and it certainly in that last quarter, it didn't look like Sarri's. I mean, we couldn't close out the game. There seemed to be a lot of bad decision making going on. Okay, missed penalty, could have closed it out. Hey ho, but we just kept giving silly penalties away. I think in those highlights, that was allowing Exeter to pin us back in their own 22. And if that happens, eventually they're a good enough side. They're top of the league. They're good enough side to push those tries over, and they did.
Well, I mean,
it looked on Sarri's.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an issue, isn't it? We don't have Maro Itoje on the field. I mean, Luke Pearce was referee, wasn't he, Barry? So I guess that him and Owen Farrell continued their spats all the way through the game. Is that a fair comment, Barry?
I think it's fair to say that Luke had a decent game. He got plenty of help and advice from both sets of players on Saturday. I think that's probably fair to say. Fortunately, he ignored most of it.
Well, just as well. I mean, we could talk ad infinitum about the different players and where things went wrong and where things went right and whatever. I mean, there were bits of it that went right. But I think the biggest problem, Barry, is the fact that we didn't close the game out, as John has just said. And that blame I put on senior players, number one, which we've already mentioned, and number two, the coaches. And I'm just wondering what's going through their minds because, I mean, this is the first time in a long time, if ever, when we've had to question the decision-making from the coaching box. Okay? And I mean, you look at prescriptive substitutions. It seems at the moment, Tom Willis comes off on 60 minutes. Yeah? The scrum half plays for 75 minutes regardless. You've got Fergus Burke on the bench. And I mean, what's that doing to his confidence? They brought back Owen Farrell, who you think was there to mentor Fergus on the pitch. And it's not been happening. Owen is now seemingly the first choice 10. And Fergus is kicking his heels on the bench. And Louis Johnson is not even getting anywhere near the squad, so he's not playing any rugby whatsoever. I mean, there was a message set up on the bus sprout from Sid. I can't remember what his surname was, but he said, "Are we missing Kevin Sorrell?" And potentially we are, because whether Dino Ellen's come in and his ideas aren't getting across quick enough, but there seems to be. And it's the first time I can ever imagine that we're having to criticise the coaching. They're not getting it right at the moment, Barry.
In parts of our play on Saturday, we look like sometimes a team can look like they've just met in the car park before the match. We look like a team who just met in the car park before the match and then been given the laws of the game and were trying to figure out what we were supposed to be doing. I mean, there was no shape. There was no idea. We spent the first half kicking the ball away. The second half, we kept it in hand and proved why we kicked it away, because we had no idea what to do. You know, if you look at it, our 4 tries, one was an interception and one was a penalty try. So really, we only scored, if you like, 2. And yeah, the saddest thing for me about Saturday and possibly this season is that we're watching senior players and players that we've idolised and loved over the years. We're watching them destroy their legacies by their manner of performance this season, and you can completely understand fans getting frustrated. And I thought it was interesting watching Mark McCall's interview afterwards. He looked like a beaten man to me. He really did.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? And I mean, we'll discuss the Gloucester fixture in a minute. But you're right. The secret of a really great coach is, and if you look at all the great teams of the past, at some point, if you keep them going too long and they fall off that cliff, they tend to fall off that cliff altogether. Think of the New Zealand team against the British Lions, where Kieran Reid and all of those players, they plunged off a cliff against the British Lions and they were badly exploited. And we'd seen it coming from 2 years previously when England had destroyed them in the World Cup semi-final. And, you know, the coaching there didn't at any point recognise that and say, lads, thank you very much, but your time has gone. And I think potentially we are seeing that same situation occurring with some senior players. And perhaps, you know, we can't trust those senior players to keep going to the well and keep pulling out the results because they're 5 years older than on, and they're more susceptible to injuries or whatever like that, you know. And perhaps the situation now has got to the point where we have to go radical. We have to pick Charlie Bracken. We have to pick youngsters. We have, and say, thanks, lads, but, maybe maybe now's the time. And it's a really difficult decision to make, John. That's a really difficult conversation to have, because I know players like Jamie George and Owen Farrell and whoever are so driven and want to get it right and want to turn it around. But, if they can't, someone's got to make that big call, haven't they, John?
No, they have. I mean, one of the things that I picked up on seeing the highlights on Sunday. One of the Saracens are always dominant at tackles, always. And it just seemed half-hearted. And if there's that sense of kind of half-heartedness about what they're doing, let's bring some of these young players through. Give them the opportunities. I understand we brought Faz back, and that's great. But let's use Faz's skills going forward in terms of mentoring and coaching. Fergus Burke had some good games in the Autumn Internationals for Scotland. Why isn't he the first choice for them behind him? I don't see that at the moment. Van, absolutely, yeah, he's a good player, but he's not in the right. He doesn't appear in the right mind. There's a few not in the right mindset at the moment. So I think we have to make some decisions and say, okay, we need to change what we're doing here and be honest. And the coaching staff need to be honest with themselves. We've got some good players here. Let's bring them in. Let's give them the opportunity, and not just for 20 minutes every other game.
Yeah, I think for me, the last thing I want to talk about this game, because I don't want to spoil everybody's Christmas dinner too much, but what was indicative of it was that the last try was scored by Henry Slade, who picked up a loose ball and out-sprinted Max Malins. It was Henry Slade. I fancy him a chance against Henry Slade. As fabulous a player he is, not known for his speed, and that was it. So perhaps now's the time to bring in and not make sure it's just not us moaning about it, Barry, but do you want to give us some of the free word reviews and just see whether people are confirming what we're saying?
Well, I'll start with the one positive one that we had, and it was literally only one. So Roger King at Roger KI, and then his phone number, I think, or possibly his bank card number, should have won and not over yet. So a lot of people have given us 2 or 3, so I'll try and run through them. Han K via Facebook, so very disappointed. Well, I think that's probably a fair comment. Gareth Baxter is regular contributor at Gar Baxter. Line out still shocking. Yes, they were. Whoever was throwing in, they were the line outs were poor. Predictable attacking play. Well, it wasn't predictable. It was positive. It was positively pedestrian, really. Rugby Saracens, desperately disappointing loss. Yeah, I think we can all agree with that. Steve Owen, crap performance again. Yeah, but not probably the worst one of the season. Maybe Quinn's away rivals it, but certainly very, very poor. Rue Crayford, vanilla in attack. Yes, I think that's a fair comment. We had no variation, no idea. We either kicked it away or we ran into their defence. There was no attempt to try and really do anything different. Mark Collins, Van Ziel out. Well, we've discussed even and his problems, and yeah, let's hope that Charlie gets a chance at some time. Josh Miller, uninterested, confused, slow. Yep, I think that probably sums me up quite well, actually. Also, why does Ollie Woodburn play like Brian Habana against us? Well, the answer, Josh, is because we keep kicking him the ball in plenty of space, and he is a good player, even if he's not a fullback.
Yeah.
James Thompson, don't kick long. Yep, absolutely. Bramley, 1867, too much passing, 0 forward movement, subpar kicking. We've covered all of those. We're nearly there, I promise. Disillusioned pensioner, no attack ideas. Yeah, that's true. Ron Peck, not good enough. Divad Silos, I hope I pronounced that wrongly. Enough is enough. Well, yeah, we're kind of getting to that point. It's hard to see where we're progressing. We're supposed to be in a rebuild. And for a rebuild, you need to see some progression or change, and at the moment, that's hard to find. Lawrence Griffiths, change of coach, maybe. Mark Bright joins in with that, with bosses under pressure, and Richard Adams, close, no cigar. And I think we'll stop at that point. Apologies if yours didn't make the cut, but we had a lot of them. We seem to get far more when we've lost than when we've won.
Indeed, yes, and Mungo there. If you heard that in the background, he was throwing in his 2 penneth worth as well, which is basically woof woof woof. But yeah, he's a grumbly bugger at the moment anyway. But yeah, I mean, you're all absolutely right. I mean, the thing that comes apparent now, and let's move on. Let's look forward. Gloucester at Kingsholm, which is never a happy hunting ground. I mean, we've had victories there and everything. It's just not a nice place to go, is it? Full stop. But Gloucester away, I think potentially is Mark McCall's most important game as director of rugby of Saracens. We need to turn around the poor form that's seen Saracens lose four out of the last 5 in the Premiership, and I cannot remember whenever that has happened. Number one. But number two, if we leave Kingsholm with nothing, which could, given the confidence, given where they are after that Chiefs game and how that is, we leave with nothing, given the games the teams have above us, then it could be goodbye domestic season. Because if you look at the games that clubs have got, I see the top 6 will be Bath on 36, Exeter on 33, Saints on 30, Bears on 29, Tigers on 27. And if we beat Gloucester with a bonus point, we get 26 points. But if we come away with nothing, we got 21 points. And we're more than a game and a bonus point behind Tigers in 5th place and 8 points behind Bears in 4th. And that's goodbye domestic season, because we will not get that back if that happens.
With the possible exception of Bears, you'd look at all those sides above us and say that this season they have performed better than we have in most of their matches. Gloucester were at Leicester last weekend, and Gloucester looked desperately poor side. So we're playing each other at a good point for potentially for both sides. The side that comes away with the defeat on the weekend, I think is going to be in a bad place for the rest of the season. And yeah, it's going to be a mega battle.
No, I think it is, Barry, and the guys and the whole setup can't excuse what went on last weekend. So Gloucester has to be a bit of a killer game, really, because we're talking about this. We're talking about we've lost 4 out of 5. We're talking that if we don't get something out of Gloucester this weekend, then we're going to be 5-6 points behind. They can't be oblivious to that. So there has to be some sort of mindset change in how they set the game up on Friday. I mean,
100%. I mean, the game after Gloucester away is Leicester away, and that's not going to be easy. So you know, if we don't see a reaction against Gloucester, it's hard to see us coming back this season.
Well, it is, because I mean, if we don't get that performance against Gloucester, I suppose then we find ourselves very much in the same position that Northampton Saints were in some last season, where they just binned the domestic season at this stage and concentrated on Europe. And fair dues. Got to European final, our next Champions Cup final, whatever it is, our next game in that competition is against Toulouse, isn't it? So if we don't get results against Tigers and Gloucester and our domestic season's over, well, might as well send the boys on the beach.
What?
They're not going to get relegated, but it's a bit like being a West Ham fan 2 years ago, like I am, the mid-table mediocrity, and they're looking at us right in the eyes, isn't it?
If we don't pick up some confidence before we play Toulouse, and I know that's January, it's down the line a couple of actually, it's not, it's 3 weeks away, isn't it? If we don't build up some confidence in the meantime, then that could be a very, very painful home game.
Well,
but this is off the top of my head, but I think our next games are Gloucester away, Leicester away, Toulouse at home, Glasgow away, and that's not an easy run of games for any side. Let's remind ourselves that Glasgow beat Toulouse up at Glasgow, so we've got a mountain to climb, and we need to start taking those first steps this weekend, I think.
We do indeed. Look, let's end this on a positive note, okay? Let's put ourselves in the place of Mark McCall and Joe Shaw and the rest of the coaching team.
Yeah.
I think the pack picks itself. The pack's not doing too badly, other than the fact we can't seem to hit a line-out jumper. And the other Christmas wish I've got is that Maro Itoje is fit as soon as possible, because we are missing Maro's, not only his influence as captain, but his influence at line-out time and just generally setting the tone across the field. That's number one. Number two, do we agree? We want Charlie Bracken and Fergus Burke starting against Gloucester at 9 and 10. Regardless, what's the worst that could happen? Can't be any worse than what's going on now. Yeah? 12 and 13. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different options. But I just want to see us play with a bit of elan and a bit of, jouet and whatever. Is that too much to ask for, Barry?
No, I don't think it is. I know he didn't have a good game at the weekend, but I'd be tempted to push Faz out to 12. And if Lucio's fit and available again, he'll slot in at 13. Yeah, I think Faz can still play 12. I think his days as a top-rated 10 are possibly behind him. And then let's then push it out to John. John, who would you have in the back three?
Oh, that's difficult. Off the top of my head, I don't disagree with you, Barry. I think I think Faz needs to go out. How do we think Spink got on in a couple of games that he's brought through? Do we think to bring in somebody like him through?
Yeah, I just think it's got to be radical, and I hope that Mark McCall shows a bit of courage in this situation, and the coaches show a bit of courage and say, look, let's go to Gloucester, let's put on a performance, let's consign last week to the dustbin of history and make sure that we never ever go to that place again. And I think the point I want to make to finish this session of the Festcast off is to say I don't particularly mind if we do go and we lose at Gloucester, provided when we watch it, if we're at Kingsholm or if we're watching it on the telly, we see effort, we see ideas, and we see people doing stuff, making decisions, being positive. That's what I want from Saracens this weekend, Barry. Positivity.
Yeah, if we're going to struggle, let's struggle trying and not struggle. I don't want to say not caring, because that is so unfair, but it's just the way some of it came across on Saturday. Some of our defence was just buffet defending. If we didn't get the players straight away, we weren't really bothered. But yeah, let's not die wondering what could have been on Saturday, and hopefully for the rest of the season as well.
No, completely. Give all we ask is give 100%. When you're out there, give 100%. And if they do that and we go down fighting, then that's all well and good. But let's not look like we have no idea of what we're doing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well, look, shall we end it there and say, number one, thank you for everybody who has contributed in 2025 to the Fezcast. Thank you, everybody who's listened in. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, John, for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mungo and Daisy, for playing up as we were trying to record this as well. So I had to shoot off on occasions. And if that stays in the edit, thanks to Matt as well. I know Matt's having a few family things at the moment, but he's going to do the edit for us this week. So, and our best wishes go out to Matt as well in everything that he's been going on. We'll say, look, get your eggnog, get your avocado snowballs or whatever it is you're having for your Christmas, your mince pies and your whatever, you're having. Let's enjoy Christmas. Let's come back next weekend and see Saracens react and get a thumping win down in Gloucester. And then next year on the next Fezcast, the first Fezcast, I think in is it going to be? No, it's not. It's going to be the 31st, isn't it? It's going to be the last one of the year, the New Year one. But we'll be looking at 2026 with a win under our belt and going forward. So from all of us here on the Fezcast, I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Have a great time. Keep safe. don't drink too much, don't eat too much. Yeah, you will do, won't you? Players don't eat and drink too much. and thank you as well to Charlie Bracken and Ollie for organising that interview as well, which is great fun. And we'll just say thank you everybody for listening in. Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll see you on the other side of the big feast.
Yep, keep an eye out for Bindo.
Yeah.
Ta-ra.
This is the Fezcast.